and welcome to another episode of Gaming the System. We are three intersectional feminists, and we are also pretty hardcore gamers. And so we've decided to mash that together into Gaming the System, where we talk about feminist and equality issues in relation to gaming. And so today I'm hosting, I'm Jem, and with me I have Alex.
Hello, hi.
And Matt.
Hello, everybody.
And I just want to say hi, guys, because I've been ill, basically. So I missed the last few recording sessions that we did. And I had a horrendous tonsillitis, which ruined my new year. And I sort of feel like the festive time was completely just grabbed away from me, because I basically was there for New Year's Eve. And then on New Year's Day, I came down with this horrible sore throat. And then that was it. And when I was next up and about, all the Christmas decorations were down and all the family had gone home. It was sort of like I'd missed out on all the sort of post-Christmas time. Not least was that annoying, because I particularly enjoy that time, because it's one of the few times of the year where I sort of can game guilt-free. And so I didn't even get to do that. I just binge-watched The Bear, which if you've not seen it, I would recommend it. I watched the 2 seasons and and it was awesome. So yeah, that kept me busy. So happy New Year to you both. I'm sure you've already done all of that, but I hope that you had festive times and had a good break. Yeah, it's just really nice to be back here with you.
It's nice to be back, Jim.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, we were just talking about your Udi, Alex.
Yes, I'm very
was
cozy.
A Christmas present, I believe.
It's all sort of navy blue and starry, and it's all furry and fluffy and snuggly, and it's basically a giant hoodie with a giant pocket on the front and arms. And I live in it now. I got it for Christmas, and I live in it because it's lovely and snuggly in the winter time. So very happy with that present. Yes.
That's kind of like perfect, given how chilly it's been recently.
Indeed.
So have you guys had snow?
No, we haven't. We've had like a dusting the week before last, I think it was. But no, nothing too bad.
Yeah, I only had one day. So not particularly dramatic.
No. We haven't had any. Haven't even had any on the big hills that I can see from here. And they normally, if there's snow around, they normally get it. But we haven't had any. Just lots of ice. Very cold. Very cold ponds. So, how are you, Matt?
Yeah, I'm okay. I've been just talking of cold, battling my way through God of War Ragnarok again. On the back end of they're releasing God of War Valhalla, and having a chat with Alex about it and playing it through again. I thought it would be a couple of years before I played it through again, but this is my third playthrough now, and there are even more things to be taken from it. And the most emotionally, the bits that resonated with me the most for the first 2 times just hit harder every time.
That's awesome.
That's been a very nice way to start the year in my gaming.
Yeah. Well, we're going to talk a bit about the cost of games today. So yeah, it's good when they have such replay value, I think. So because I'm so out of the loop, and I feel like my year got started a week late, I thought what we could do today is actually have a look at some of the top news stories in the gaming world this week, and just talk about these are the things that are going to be happening. Sort of, I mean, a lot of these things are ongoing, so they're going to be relevant for probably throughout 2024. And I just thought it'd be really interesting to get our take on some of these news stories. And there's quite a lot of interesting stuff, actually. And I always look at the gaming news, especially when I'm prepping for one of our sessions. But this time there was like a lot of stuff, and I was just like, actually, yeah, there's a lot there that I think we're going to have some good opinions on, and I think we should cover them. So as I said about the cost of gaming, the first news story that I thought we could look at is that the shop is no longer accepting old games for resale. Ooh. So it's not taking games back anymore, which it used to do. And then, you could take them back for a small amount of money. I don't know whether CEX is still doing it. I presume they are, because that's like their business model. But obviously, Game was a big store that did that, and I think it's an interesting comment on where we are with the rise of digital games and the sort of reduction of physical games. And certainly the reporter who was writing about it was saying that they haven't bought a physical game for years, but it's interesting because at the same time as this news story came out, there's another one about Ubisoft, who are intentionally trying to get players comfortable with the idea of not having a physical game. So you just have this subscription system similar to like Netflix or Prime or whatever. And so they're expecting us to all get used to this idea of like, we don't actually physically own the games. And so, it's partly because they feel like the bottom is falling out of the secondhand market, but we can also imagine that it's probably more because it makes them a lot of money. It's a lot less expensive, isn't it, to market a game without having to actually physically package it and physically send it out and have shops physically holding it and all of the costs that are associated with that. So, I'm just going to throw this open to you guys. What have you heard about this? Have you got anything more to add to it? And what are your views on what appears to be a deliberate and intentional shift towards a more digital gaming world?
It's really interesting. I'd heard about the Ubisoft storyline, but I hadn't heard about Game completely getting rid of this service, and it's a surprise. In some ways, but I can see where those stories kind of mesh together, definitely. It's a service that I've used before. I've traded in games in a game shop, and incidentally, that game shop that I traded those games in no longer exists physically. It's not actually in the town I lived in previously. There is no game shop available anymore, and I think in terms of their store numbers, they've definitely had quite a big decline in the last number of years. I don't know exactly how many there are in the country, but I know that they have been closing. And I think that, in a way, also represents the shift to digital gaming and, games as a service and that kind of thing. It's really interesting. I watched a video about the Ubisoft news story, and I think he was the head of digital gaming or something. So of course he would be like, yes, let's all go for digital gaming because that's his job. But the way he phrased it had quite a lot of backlash. I think he said gamers need to get used to playing digital games or not owning games anymore. And there was quite a lot of backlash. But it was interesting as getting to the point. The video I was watching made the point about different types of media and how we have made the move, say, from CDs and cassettes and all that into digital music streaming services, like things like Spotify and stuff like that. And then also on the films and TV side, loads of us are using streaming services like Netflix, for example. We don't really, unless you're a collector, have our DVDs and VHS tapes anymore. Well, I think my family do have them somewhere in a shed. For some reason, we just like to keep them just in case. We do still have a video and DVD player, but it is showing its age, let's say, and sort of limping along. I know my parents do like to occasionally still use DVDs and things to watch stuff on, but it is a dying medium. I think definitely today's generation. I remember once speaking to a friend of mine who said they had a kid in for work experience who didn't know what a cassette tape was, which was quite a horrible thing to hear. It made me feel very old. But I think that there is a trend in those markets, in music and in TV and film. So it's natural to kind of see that progression with gaming as well as a medium. But I don't know, I guess there's more of a resistance to it. I like to have the cases for games that I really am a big fan of, because I just like looking at the box art and way back in the day, of course, in the 90s, you used to get like stickers or like really big guides which had like backstory for the character and the controls and like tips and all sorts of other pictures of the character in there. They were like really cool things to have with your game disc. And, you know, that was part of getting the game was those extra bits with it as well. And, of course, with digital gaming, that's completely lost. I don't know what, I guess I'd say I have more physical games than digital games, but I certainly do have some digital games that I just couldn't wait for, things like God of War Ragnarok. I have the original God of War in its case and on its disc, but God of War Ragnarok I have as digital, because I was just like, we need to play it as soon as it comes out. It's that instancy, it's wanting everything now, I think, which is part of growing up in a digital age. It makes it really hard for physical things like discs to exist. But yeah, those are my thoughts on it, I guess, and I can see why the shift is happening, but I can also see why people aren't comfortable with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really interesting what you were saying about DVDs, because I was having a conversation recently about that, and apparently there is a bit of a concern that the movies won't always be available on Netflix or Prime or whatever, and so some people are keeping their DVDs because actually that might be the only way you can watch those movies. And I was looking for Mermaids, movie with Cher and Winona Ryder and stuff, and because I just was having a trip down memory lane. I thought, I'll watch Mermaids, and I couldn't find it on it wasn't available on any of the online services that I had access to. So, there are definitely films out there that just are getting lost, and so like not having a physical copy means that they've gone. So what do you think about all of this then, Matt?
Yeah, I think it's an inevitable process. Eventually almost all media is going to be digital, and that's just an inevitable thing. And it's already well on the way in terms of PC gaming, because Steam is basically a monopoly that owns all of the retail of PC games, and they do a good job, and they do very good sales and prices, and it's the way forward. That's how it's going to happen. I think the crucial difference between say music and film and TV streaming is that what the CEO of Ubisoft, whoever he was, who said that players need to get used to. That's the way that they talk in board meetings. That's boardroom speak for the bloody peasants will well, they'll enjoy us shafting them and charging them more money. And then this becomes, when it comes to subscriptions, there are subscriptions for gaming which are good. The EA one, for example, and the PlayStation Plus example. But the thing that they're going to want to do is they're going to want to release unfinished games. You can subscribe to this game, which means we can give it to you 2 years early, and then we add bits to it as we go along. But the point is that you don't expect to get a finished product when you get the first one. And also, this is another part of the trend of, well, it will cost them less money to produce physical copies, and it's better for the environment to not do that, so that's good. But they're going to think, we won't have to produce physical copies. We want to use artificial intelligence more, which I don't know. There's been a lot of stuff in the news about layoffs as well at game studios, because they're all salivating of, with this one computer I can replace 10 employees, then I get to keep all of their salary, and I can just use the artificial intelligence to replicate things that are going to be shit anyway. And yeah, it's an inevitable process, but it needs to be careful. We just need to have an eye on these corporations that the only thing that they want is to maximize profit. And yeah, hopefully, we'll just have to see what happens.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that sort of struck me about it, and this is why I was saying about the cost of games, is that if you're paying 70 quid for a game hot off the press, then that's not that much of a problem. If 6 months down the line, when you finish playing it, you can sell it on to somebody for 50 quid, 40 quid, whatever, then obviously that reduces down the cost of the game to you overall. And we've talked before about the sort of gaming, cost of gaming crisis, really, and about how gaming costs are just going up and up and up. And I think my concern is that if you're then owning a digital version and you're spending 70 quid to download a digital game that you can't pass on, you can't recoup that cost or gift it. I mean, I audiobook a lot of books these days, and I've also moved to Kindle as well. So I've got these digital things, and it's like, my mum is a voracious reader, and she'll get through hundreds of books and she passes them on to friends. She's like, oh, here, I've finished reading this. I thought you might like it. And she's just passing all these books around. Obviously, I can't do that with an audio book or a Kindle book, and you can't do it with your computer game. So, and I think that if a game has a lot of replay value, then that's great. Then you're going to maybe get your money's worth out of it by playing and replaying. But if it doesn't, then it's just going to sit on your hard drive gathering dust, basically. I suppose in my case, it just sits in my cupboard gathering dust, even in the physical form. But what do you guys think about that? I've been thinking
recently as I bought Baldur's Gate 3 on PlayStation digital full price when it came out, because I assumed I would dive headlong into it, and that hasn't happened. But as I've gotten into PC gaming more, I've got an itch for things that can be played with a mouse and keyboard, not just going at full speed in a controller game. And so I've been tempted to buy it again on Steam, and it's down to £50 now from 70, which I would pay £50 to purchase any decent game. I think if someone says this is a really good game, the maximum we're going to charge for a game is £50, I would be happy with that. We could say, when everything's digital, games should become cheaper because they don't need to worry about this entire ecosystem of the boxes and the discs and the printing of stuff and the flying it everywhere. They don't have to worry about that. But what they want to do is put less time and money into a product, charge us more and more for it, and just that's the dynamic that they want. There is an answer to all of this, a reasonable answer to this transition, but we're dealing with fundamentally insane, unreasonable capitalist people that live in an insane capitalist universe where they can't just go, we're making money hand over fist. Think about the next few generations of kids who have no idea what analog technology is. It's not this generation, our generation, who've grown up gaming. We're going to be playing games for the next, until we die, decades and decades and decades, hopefully. And then our children and grandchildren and so on. The number of gamers is going to grow exponentially. They're going to make plenty of money. There's going to be so much money for them. But they just want it all. They want every single penny they can suck out of us. And
yeah. I was going to make
think that this topic might set you off, Matt, on the anti-capitalist. So sorry, Alex.
No, it's all right. I was just going to make a side point about games as a subscription service and how you can take games off of them and they might never be available again ever. It's really interesting because at the end of the year, I decided not to resubscribe to PlayStation Plus to save a bit of money. Because I was mainly using it to chat online to people I now live with, i.e. my partner. And I don't really use it other than for sometimes I'll get the PlayStation Plus games for free, the monthly games, but that's always a bit hit and miss. And occasionally there might be 10% off in the store. So I thought, oh no, I'll get rid of it for the year. And if I really want something from PS Plus, I can resubscribe for a month. But foolishly, I had forgotten that as soon as you unsubscribe, that kind of blocks your access to all of the games you've ever downloaded from PS Plus monthly games. So all those free games that I was just playing and forgotten I'd got through PS Plus, I now can't play anymore unless I resubscribe. So in effect, I always knew they weren't free anyway because you'd paid the yearly subscription. But as soon as you stop paying the subscription, your access to those games is cut off. So my gaming library is now much reduced. Not that I have time to play all of them anyway, but it's having that choice taken away. It feels a little bit like, oh, well, if I pay up, you'll give me more of a choice then. Okay, then. It feels a bit rubbish, but yeah.
The concept of personal, the concept of personal private ownership of things is something that capitalism is trying to erode as well. Mm-hmm. It's going, it's completely normal to rent a house for your entire life rather than paying a mortgage and then owning it afterwards. No. You get a subscription to a great, awesome house, and that lasts forever. Yeah. That's another cog in the wheel.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's about what you get for your money, really, isn't it? And what you think you're getting for your money. And I think it's difficult because, when you go to the library, for example, you go to a library, and I mean, I know you don't pay for the library. The library is amazing, and I think they're the most amazing things in the world. But you go to a library, you borrow a book or a game or a video or whatever. Video, oh my God, I'm showing age. And you it's not yours. You know that you have it for a short period of time and then you give it back and then somebody else has it, and that's fine because that's how it is. And it's free. Whereas, when you're paying a subscription and you get your book and you paid for that book, and now and then suddenly you stop paying and you've paid for that book many times over now, and they say, oh no, it's my book.
Yeah.
And you have to give it back. And I think there's a psychological frustration in that as well. And I suppose in some ways it's a way for them to hook you in and to make you continue to pay even when you are in a scenario where you're actually not using it. I would have a similar debate. I'm not using my PS Plus. I haven't cancelled it because I'm like, yeah, but there might be that one day when when I can, or my daughter might suddenly decide she wants to play the Just Dance, and you need it for that, and and there's it's such a challenging thing. But I mean, I agree, it is obviously the direction we're going, and from an environmental perspective, there's obviously an argument in its favour because you're using up less stuff to make less stuff, and that's obviously a good thing, but I do think it does need to go hand in hand with a reduction in cost, I think, and maybe some sort of additional benefits that people get from what they're paying, and
oh my god, and another Suicide Squad. This is the first time this has happened that I've noticed. The Suicide Squad Killed Justice League is coming out. This is the new. Then the game. The last game this studio made was Batman Arkham Knight, which was bloody unbelievable masterpiece. That was in 2015. They've spent 9 years making this, so it's going to be awesome. And games. If someone was going to charge £70 for a game, it's one that spent 9 years making it. Hopefully, you could justify that, perhaps. But on the coming to fucking digital deluxe editions, the digital deluxe edition is £100. It's asking £100 for a digital deluxe edition. Nothing in any digital deluxe edition ever has been worth more. It has been fucking worthless. It takes literally nothing. It's less than 5 megabytes of data that they want, at the very least £5 for. And ones that digital, you get the soundtrack as well. Ooh,
I've never been able to
YouTube
access the soundtrack like through that download.
Yeah, so it's,
but yeah,
load box, £100.
And most of the outfits and stuff, you can get them like later on in the game most times for those types of things anyway. So yeah, I agree. Those are pointless and annoying.
Yeah, so that's clearly been under my skin for a while. Yes. And just got ripped out by being asked for £100
the highest I've seen
for a
is
game.
20, but yeah, 100 is a new high. That's ridiculous.
Oh my god! Another thing as well, remakes and I am disgusted by the Last of Us developers putting out a remastered Last of Us Part 2, because it's like if they did a God of War remaster. The original is one of that and God of War. They're the two most incredible looking games ever, the most visually extraordinary games ever, pushing the limits of what the PlayStation 4 can do. And now they want to charge £50 for the same thing. It can only be so much better. And I'm really disappointed with them with that. And yeah, very upsetting.
We hope you enjoyed that episode of Gaming the System. If you want to support us, you can donate to us through our PayPal by sending it to wearegamingthesystem@gmail.com if you want to send us a one-off donation. If you want to donate to us monthly, you can subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/gamingthesystem. Until next time, bye-bye.